Baseball. Happy Father's Day, and joined now by Roch Kubatko from AssetSports.com School of Rock. Roch, latest information you want to bring to us includes Delmon Young.
It does. You know, watching him yesterday, I was just reminded about the first time that we actually knew that Delmon was in the organization, which is back at the mini camp in January when I saw his name, a nameplate in the locker, and I put my reporter skills to use and said, hey, I think they signed Delmon Young to a minor league contract. And the questions were about his conditioning up to this point. Well, you look at Delmon, and he was in terrific shape when he showed up at this camp. Walked by Buck's office with his shirt off. We didn't think that was by accident. And Buck had been saying this is the best condition I've seen him in. He's running great. But you look at what happened yesterday when he took third base from first to third on that bloop single by Ryan Flaherty, and then scores on a medium-range fly ball by Nick Hundley. I don't know if the Delmon Young of 2013, when he had put on the extra weight, would have been able to do that. He really is running as well as we've seen, and really been as a good contributor. The problem is trying to get him in the lineup, of course, with Steve Pearce, with Nelson Cruz, of course, and don't even get me started on Nolan Reimold being in Bowie. This team's going to have a surplus of corner, outfield, DH, right-handed hitting types. But, you know, this is only the second, I'd say the first time that Delmon has made starts in back-to-back days since May 23rd and 24th. And yet, he keeps himself ready. Buck said it's a real credit. In fact, he's got a good attitude. He's sacrificing. The guy wants to play every day, obviously, and he's done that in the past. But when he's called upon, he's had some really key hits for him coming off the bench. But I'm just impressed by the way he's moving. And I think back to January, thinking, really, Delmon Young, that's kind of an interesting signing under the radar. And then you see the way the condition he's in and how dedicated he was. So the guy's only 28. Buck keeps reminding us of that. Only 28 years old. It's been an interesting kind of process to see him make this club and how he's contributed the times he gets on the field.
The Orioles with a lot of deep depth this year with also Steve Pearce in addition to Delmon Young. Now, how about the way the catchers are handling throws to the plate this year under this new rule?
I'm taking over for Rick Dempsey. I'm going to analyze some catchers here. This is a little bit different. You know, yesterday we finally got, I think it was our first review under that new collision rule. I think it's rule 7.13 if you're keeping score at home, where the Blue Jays were arguing with the Orioles that Hundley had blocked the plate without the ball, which you're not allowed to do anymore. And the call, it was upheld. Runner was out, Jose Bautista. And what the Orioles are doing now in spring training, when they were, all the managers were explaining this new rule, it was suggested, okay, what these catchers need to do, stand beside the plate so you're not blocking it, take the throw, and then make the sweep tag. Well, bench coach John Russell, the former Major League catcher, he heard this and said, well, forget that, or it was something similar to that. They were going to go with that, because that puts the catcher out of position, puts him at a disadvantage. So he worked with Matt Wieters and the other catchers, and what they're basically doing is they're kind of straddling the plate, but they're leaving the front corner of it exposed so that they're not technically blocking the plate without the ball, but when they receive the throw, they're in position to make the tag. And they got it approved by Major League Baseball. They said, yes, that is legal. So believe me, if that call had been overturned yesterday, the Orioles would still be on the field arguing it because they did get approval. And their argument was, look, J.J. Hardy does the same thing at second base when he takes throws, which makes him such a great tagger, as Buck always points out. Where he takes a throw, he's able to apply the tag straddling the bag. Why not be able to do that at home plate? And that's what the Oriole catchers are doing, and you saw it take effect yesterday, and they got the plate to plate.
And one thing Buck points out is the ball gets there faster than going out and getting it and bringing it down.
Exactly. And even Caleb Joseph, you were talking in the hallway, because, you know, it's going to slow you down to try and take a throw and make a sweep tag then, because these guys can slide around that. So the way they're positioned now, it's a lot easier.
As for the Orioles starting rotation, Buck Showalter made a mistake about 2 weeks ago saying anything about a six-man rotation. I think he has lived to regret that. But what about it?
I count six. I've got bad math, but I'm counting a six-man rotation. Again, today when we brought that up, Buck kind of hesitated, like, I'm not saying that. But right now, Wei-Yin Chen is scheduled to start Monday at Tropicana Field. Miguel Gonzalez on Tuesday and Kevin Gausman on Wednesday. The only way this changes is if they have to use both long relievers today and they need to activate Miguel for tomorrow's game instead of Tuesday. And that has happened, remember, once recently where both long men were used. Otherwise, that's the rotation for Tampa. Beyond that, we don't know. There's an off day Thursday. We know Ubaldo Jimenez is going to get an extra work day, so he'd be working on extra rest when he makes his start. But Buck said there's a lot of other factors at play here with the off day. At some point, they're going to have to make a roster move when Manny Machado finally starts serving a suspension, which Buck hopes is going to be reduced to 2 days. He said there's a precedent. But they're going to bring up another infielder and send down a pitcher while they go with 24 players. There are a couple things in play here. it's not inconceivable that Kevin Gausman gets sent down after a start and then comes right back up again, and technically you're kind of staying with a 5-man. Or Buck said yes, 6 is a possibility. So right now all we know for sure is it's Chen, Gonzalez, and Gausman in Tampa, unless Gonzalez is needed out of the bullpen tomorrow.
Always great information from Roch Kubatko. Check him out on MassivSports.com. School of Rock. We appreciate him coming by here to visit with us here on this Sunday afternoon.